Hacking has always been a problem for FPS games, and although this has been generally deemed to be a PC-only issue, this has never really been true, and it's only got worse over time. As you can see this especially in Warzone, which is a very popular free-to-play FPS. If you ban someone, they'll just create a new account, so there's no reason for hackers not to go for it. But recently there's been a large number of console players which have been asking for crossplay to be an opt-out situation between console and PC, and I can understand this. As a PC player, I'd like this option as well, because although PlayStation has had this before, Xbox can't separate and nor can PC. And some days, quite frankly, there's just times I want to play against people with a mouse. I just don't want to fight the aim assist that you get with the controllers. So I think player choice is good. But the reason they want this is because they think all of the hacks come from PC. And quite frankly, this has just never been true. And it won't be. There's always been devices like this that you get, which essentially emulates the input into a controller. Now, as far as the console is concerned, it's just a normal controller. But devices like the Titan 2 and the Cronus Zen, they're in theory designed to imitate the input of a mouse as a controller. But it does more than that. As you can see here, it says digitally mod your controller, and this means you can add scripts such as zero recoil scripts, so that if you're firing a gun in Warzone, as each bullet travels off in a different direction, the controller has the input automatically to change where it's aiming, and so the gun just fires in an accurately straight line. And the console sees nothing wrong with this. In fact, because everyone thinks that consoles can't be hacked, there's not even any detection for this, unless the developer implements it themselves, which is a major issue. And this only gets worse with time. And while you can go that, okay, this may not be aimbot or anything else, this is more emulation hacking or cheating, that's still a problem, because this only gets worse. As we've seen recently, there are now hacks which will take the output of a console and send it to a PC so it can be grabbed by the capture card, and then that output is scanned by an AI which detects any kind of human-shaped software. And because there's nothing injected, because it's just a HDMI signal being sent there, this works with any game. The only thing you need to do is train the AI on each individual game, and it'll work with anything on PC or console. At this point in time, there is no difference in the hacks available between PC and console, and in fact, this is harder to be detected. There's nothing on a console which can even be scanned for. As far as the console is concerned, it's just a controller. And this new cheat is available via a $50 donation, and it does other stuff. But the reason why it's been invented was... It's got to be a lie, but I think it's funny anyway. He says it was invented to give console players a chance in games which are already overrun with hackers. Xbox players just don't stand a chance. The script would never have been created without a request. And it's like, of course. Of course people are going to request cheating. They suck at the game. That's what the same thing which has always been universally true with all cheaters. These people are cowards. They are lazy and they don't want to get good. And because they don't want to get good, but they still have the inevitable competitive drive to win, they cheat. This has been the universal reason for everybody cheating throughout everything ever. They can't be bothered to put the work in, or they're physically incapable of putting the work in, but they still want to win and beat people who are quite frankly just better than them. This isn't new. But what is new is this new ability for them to do it on console. I don't understand how you can be detected by this. I don't understand how the developers can detect for this. If there's literally nothing for them to scan for, nothing for them to detect, you're kind of just reduced to looking for algorithms in the game. Now, admittedly, there are cases where they've done this before. This isn't exactly new technology, but Activision has drawn attention to this because they've been taking down the videos advertised in this hack due to DMCA strikes on the variant, because it's their game in the videos. They don't want this hack getting publicized. And okay, I'm not using its name, and nor does the article, so this isn't a video publicizing it. We're just saying stuff exists. But this is clearly a problem in Warzone, a big enough problem for Activision to notice it. And when we get down to it, Riot has done this before. They issued a 12-month ban for someone that was also using a similar cheat to this before. And the way they detected it, in their words, was that, quite frankly, there's just some things that humans can't do. There's limits to the human reaction speed. There's limits to how fast you can aim. And okay, I can see how you can detect that. But what happens if a cheat maker just lowers the maximum ability of the hack beneath your new number? So if you say that a human can aim at 30 degrees a second, well, I'll just move the hack at 29 degrees a second. What are you going to do now? And you could even make this random, so you move between 29 and 25 degrees a second. And yes, it might make people lose some fights. But these people are generally, they want to be undetected, they want to win. And they probably won't care if they lose some fights, as long as they win most of them. So I don't really think this is a method, and I don't honestly see a path forwards for developers in this. Maybe people that know more about the in-depth working of game engines and stuff than me can come up with new methods for this. But it's going to be difficult, and it's going to take a long time. But we did used to have a solution for this, and that solution goes back as far as Quake 3. It's in Quake 3, it was in Unreal Tournament, it's in Battlefield 4, and that is community servers. That is the servers that you can choose. Because you can't expect a developer to be in every server looking for hackers all of the time. But community servers regularly used to have 24-hour mod teams. And these people could spec people that are accused of hacking. They could look, they could view them at all times, and if they needed to, they could get rid of them. That's not something a development team can ever do. Asking for a centralized power to do that just isn't possible. But when you spread it across the entire player base, now you've got lots of people who just love the game that would be willing to do that kind of duty just so that they can have a good experience. And I'm not saying this wasn't abused. Yes, there were some admins that would go and they would ban players because they just wanted the tank and that player was in the tank at the time. But these servers naturally died out and the best ones rose to the top. That's the benefit of a free market. That's what happens when you do these kind of things. Community servers gave the best moments of my gaming life when it came to Quake 3 or Battlefield 4. I'd never go on the official servers. I'd always choose ones which had the unique settings that I preferred or just had the best admins. And even now, if you go on Squad, you're probably going to have the best experience on a community-run server. So it might be time, as hacks go on, as technology evolves, that we're just going to have to accept that this isn't a PC problem. This isn't a solution that you can solve just by cutting yourself off from the PC player base. This also isn't a solution that you can feasibly ask developers to solve. I think that Activision genuinely are trying to come up with hack detections. I think they're just failing because there's so many more hack makers than there are actual people at Activision that can work on them. And they're always inevitably going to be behind. Every time they detect a new hack, they're just going to make one which isn't detected. But if we move away from expecting the developers to do something that might actually be impossible and move towards community servers with people that are always there 24 hours a day, able to actually solve these problems, then personally I think that's a far better solution. And I think if this, admittedly, they say it only has 200 players at the moment. They say it only has currently 200 users. Maybe this isn't a problem right now, but it exists, and it's only going to get more popular. And this type of cheat is only going to get more popular. If all you have to do is train an AI, and it works with any game on any platform, then every game from this point on will be vulnerable to this. It's going to be a lot easier to train a game, to train an AI to recognize the human shape on a new game, than it is to actually code a brand new hack for everything. This kind of technology is here to stay, and I think that it's about time that the gaming industry as a whole looks for new solutions to handle this kind of thing. And admittedly, I've wanted community servers for a whole host of other reasons for many, many years. I think it was a disaster to gaming that this kind of thing went, alongside modding. So I'm already predisposed to want that as a solution. But does it matter? If that would solve the problem that we're facing today, not just on PC, but on console as well, then I think it's a solution that everybody should be considering. But that's it from me. If you like the video, press like and subscribe for more videos in the future. And let me know your thoughts on the topic down below. Have you noticed more hacks in Warzone? Do you think that crossplay was a failed experiment and we need to go back to how it was before? And how do you think you would solve these kind of issues? Do you think that it's just down to the developers to solve these problems, or actually community servers could be a good idea? I want to hear from you down below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.